Welcome to another episode of OG55 Live. I got the Italiano, Mr. McNasty, with me today. We are all the way live taking your questions about theme parks, studio, music, anything really on your mind. Just post it in the comments. Up next on OG55 Live. Welcome aboard, everybody, to another episode of OG55 Live, where we're taking your questions about the parks, the studio, the corporate side, music, anything you want to talk about. Post it in the comment section. George the Italiano is my co-pilot for today. As always, Mr. Italiano, welcome back, sir.
So glad to be back. Love doing these lives. Love, chit-chatting with the chat. I love doing these lives with you, bro. It's always a good time.
Absolutely. Mr. Sticky Icky, if you can let everybody home know where they can find you on social media.
Absolutely. You can find me on social media on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You could also find me on Instagram under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you can find me right here on my home base at Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner, with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info.
Sticky. There he is, Mr. Sticky. We're going to take your questions. We're going to start off with Mr. Andrew Kellogg. Mr. Kellogg here says, do you think that Disney will ever remove the virtual queues? Here's the thing, Andrew. I think virtual queues have a place, right? You open a new attraction, there's all kinds of demand for that said new attraction. I think virtual queues are a good tool to use to sort of mitigate that demand and kind of organize it. However, I do think that Disney kind of gets a little carried away with this stuff. I think it's ridiculous that Cosmic Rewind is still in virtual queue, you know? So I'm not opposed to virtual queues for new additions, but they should have a shelf life. It shouldn't be an ongoing thing years after the fact. Do I think they'll ever remove them? I don't know. Probably not. I mean, completely, like never use them? Probably not. I think they like that tool to have in their toolbox just in case. Tiana's is virtual queue, if I'm not mistaken, right, George? Right now, at least? Not mistaken?
No, I don't know. Actually, believe it or not, I don't even really know if it is.
Okay. Well,
I don't think so.
Okay. Well,
because I think with the because with the new lightning lane that they're doing, it's Tiana is actually already in a tier that you can choose for it. So no, they're not adding it to the virtual queue. Only right now at Walt Disney World is Cosmic Rewind and Tron, which I do agree with you. I don't think that they'll get rid of virtual queues. I don't think that they should get rid of virtual queues, but what they should get rid of is this long placement of virtual queues. Like for Cosmic Rewind, for example, that ride's been open for what? 2-3 years,
something like that,
and it's like, and it's still on a virtual queue. It's like, I get the purpose in the very beginning, maybe 6 months to a year, you know, depending on the popularity of the ride. But no, it should not last as long as it is.
Yeah, exactly. So they're not necessarily bad. I mean, virtual queues have a place. I mean, they're useful, but I think Disney has sort of like abused them, I guess. I mean, that's kind of harsh, but like they've kind of gone on longer than they should with things like Cosmic Rewind. But great question, Mr. Kellogg. Next question is from Mr. Trip Johnson.
Really quick before you continue, Starship just confirmed it's still in virtual queue right now.
What is?
I believe Tiana's.
Oh, Tiana's. Okay, cool. Perfect. Thank you, Starship. We appreciate you, and welcome to the chat. Trip says here, do you think Diz Twitter hates IP because it's usually franchises that they didn't grow up on or originally not part of the Walt Disney Company? 100%. I don't think that's the only reason, Trip, but that is a big reason. I see a lot of people talk about, oh, Marvel, that's not Disney. You know, oh, Star Wars, that's not Disney. Well, you know what? It is Disney. They own it. It's Disney. You know what I'm saying? Just like DreamWorks is now Universal. Okay. It is a Disney IP. And I do think there is a lot of that where people, they kind of get accustomed to their perception of what Disney is. And then when you know, when that changes, they don't like it. Okay. But yeah, I think that is a part of it. Absolutely. And what do you think, Mr. Italiano? You think that's an element here where people are sort of like, well, you know, I'm in my 40s, you know, Marvel wasn't Disney when I was a kid. It's kind of weird to me. I'm not used to it. Is that part of this whole hate for IP, or do you think it's something totally different?
I think it's partial of it. The other part, I believe that there are just people who are part of the tradition of where, you know, Disney, you know, was at a knack for creating attractions that were non-IP.
Yeah.
You know, you have the Matterhorn, you have Space Mountain, you have Big Thunder Mountain. You know, there was even older attractions that aren't around right now. You have Horizons, World of Motion, Spaceship Earth. You know, there's a lot of attractions that never really implemented IP. So I think that there are people that just like they're traditionalists. You know, they say they don't have really a problem with the IP, but it's like it's with every attraction is tied to an IP. But I feel that that's just the way it is right now, especially in today's generation. Like they're so used to seeing something that they can familiarize with, such as, you know, Zootopia or Rapunzel or Frozen, that it's like, okay, I've seen the movie, I know the characters. Yeah, I want to go ride the ride.
Yeah. And we have to, we also have to remember as a community that Disney is generational. And so like the IP that doesn't necessarily resonate with you doesn't necessarily mean that younger people don't resonate with that IP. You know what I'm saying? And we have to be aware of that. There's certain IP that I don't care for either, but I understand why Disney would implement that IP, you know? Also, another thing that we have to remember too, when it comes to IP and using them in the parks, these attractions, these lands are a huge investment. Okay. It costs Disney a lot of money, right, to build these things. They want to mitigate the risk involved with building something like this. Okay. The way you mitigate that risk is tying these attractions, these lands to an existing IP with a built-in audience. Right. So if Disney were to spend, you know, $500 million or something on a land or an attraction or something, they're spending millions of dollars on these things, and it didn't have an IP to it, it could be very popular. You never know. But the issue is that you just don't know. It's a much bigger gamble than the Frozen thing, than the Spider-Man thing, than the Groot ride or whatever. You have a built-in audience. So that's why they do this. And I don't see it going away anytime soon. So, I mean, if you don't like IP in the parks, I really don't know what to tell you, you know?
And before you read the next question, GooGamp, yes, I chose Luca today. Thanks for spotting it. Yeah, you know, with me being the Italiano, you know, I had to go back to my roots a little bit. So yeah, it did take me a while. Disney and Pixar has a plethora of content, so it's always hard to say which I should pick. And Luca popped up on the screen, so I was like, you know what, I gotta go with my boy Luca.
Come on, the Italiano. You know what I'm saying? The Italiano. Suave CLT here says, Universal has built 3 unique Harry Potter lands in Florida. Will Disney ever do something similar with one of their IPs, or will they stick to one of each? If they did it, which IP? This is interesting. This is very interesting. I'm not in love with this idea that Universal sort of is putting Harry Potter in all their parks. Because all the parks, and we talked about this, George, right? Mm-hmm. All their parks feel the same. Like Epic Universe feels like you were saying, a next generation Islands of Adventure. I mean, it really does. When you really look at these two parks, what's the difference? You know what I'm saying? I mean, you could change the window dressing here and there, but at the end of the day, it's the same style of park. Mm-hmm. And then it makes it even worse when you have the same IP in these parks. So I don't know. For me personally, I don't like them doing that. What say you, sir?
Really quick, I think I figured out what I'm going to call this. Anytime you use your analogies, I'm going to call it the OGHGTV quote.
There we go. Exactly. But what say you in terms of like these using the same IP for all these parks? Do you think it sort of homogenizes these parks a little bit? Because at the end of the day, these IP parks are already homogenized to some degree because it's the same concept.
Exactly.
But then you throw the same IP in there, and it's even more so.
Yeah, I think the way Universal did it is somewhat smart, but also somewhat where it just becomes monotonous. It's like, even though it's a different land, it's a new area of the Harry Potter world. In the end of the day, it's still just Harry Potter. And it's like, okay, there's so many IPs that they could have used. We mentioned it how many times before. If they wanted to do an IP land that was quote unquote epic, for me, that would have been Lord of the Rings.
Oh, I'm telling you, Lord of the Rings would have been incredible. It would have been absolutely incredible. Or something Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon. A land like that in a park called Epic Universe would be absolutely amazing. The Harry Potter stuff is absolutely fantastic. It's not really my thing as a franchise, but the way that Universal handles this IP is beautiful. They always do a really good job. But I kind of wish that Universal would kind of branch away a little bit from Harry Potter, and kind of get a little more ballsy and try new things. I think George's idea of like Lord of the Rings would have been incredible. But yeah, I feel like they're sort of overusing it, Suave, to be a little honest with you, despite the fact that I think the lands are really well done. I mean, there's some of at Universal Hollywood, it's like my favorite thing in that park, aside from the tram.
Now, to also answer part of the question, what I would have done with Star Wars is not necessarily add different kinds of lands in one resort, but I would do different lands. I mean, in resorts, actually, that's what I would do in the parks. So scratch that. Let me start over. What I would do with Star Wars is have different lands based off of Star Wars, but in different resorts. Okay. Sort of kind of like how they did with Marvel, where right. The Avengers campuses kind of tie into one another, where it kind of like overlaps, but they're their own story, but they're interconnected somehow. That's what I would have done with Star Wars. That I would have had, if they wanted to do Batuu, I think Batuu fits perfectly well in Disneyland. It fits so well moving through the rock work of Frontierland right off of the rivers of America. It fits. For Hollywood Studios, I would have did a completely different planet, even if it was something not from the films, right. But tie it into Batuu. So you have a completely different immersive experience at Disneyland and a completely different immersive experience at Walt Disney World.
And that's interesting. And you can even do a similar concept actually with like Animal Kingdom. I know people are going to like, what do you mean Star Wars and Animal Kingdom? But you could do it, because what you can do for Animal Kingdom, create a new land, a new Star Wars land for that park, but focus that land more on the creatures of the planet and have it more of a creature-based experience.
The Ewoks.
Yeah, or even something totally different, like with more like me, that you can revisit the roaming banthas and things like that, and have the whole land based on Star Wars. But when it's in Animal Kingdom, though, it's more based on the creatures and the animals of that planet. I think that would be actually really, really cool. But yeah, thank you, Swab. We appreciate the question. Fantastic question. Mr. BJ Vincent says here, OG and George, after listening to your review with Hey Bricky and Adventures Beyond Adversity concerning the Splash Mountain Bridge, do you also feel Disney should build and add calmer dark rides and more accessible attractions, e-ticket rides? Well, I think Disneyland proper is good. I think Disneyland has a really good variety. It has a huge roster of attractions, the biggest roster of any Disney park, and I think it's a good eclectic mix. DCA, completely different animal. I think DCA definitely needs what you're saying here. Some calm dark rides that everyone can do. Some just kind of everybody attractions. I think that park needs a lot. And we'll see. The issue, though, with DCA is the Avengers e-ticket doesn't sound like it's going to be that. It's not going to be a calm dark ride if we get it, right? Pandora, probably. So that's a plus. The Avatar attraction, based on the ones that we have in Florida, I know ours will be different, but based on that, I think we're going to get something similar. And both of those attractions are very family friendly. But yeah, no, I think they should, especially in DCA, add more calmer dark rides and have it much more accessible and much more, what would you call it, like 4-quadrant style attractions. But what say you, sir?
Well, there is one attraction which I'm very surprised at Disney, to be honest with you. It kind of actually irritates me to the fact, because my mom has a lot of issues like with certain rides because of her disabilities. And the one ride that she always wanted to experience but cannot go on is Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway.
Okay.
That ride is not handicap accessible at all. Even though that you can get handicap people in there, it is a struggle. If you actually go online that people try to get their loved ones in and out of that ride vehicle, I just don't understand, with that being a brand new ride, they have older attractions that are accessible to people with disabilities. And I don't know why that they couldn't implement that with Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And yeah, with Mickey and Minnie, it should be more accessible. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, BJ. We appreciate the support and the great question. Mr. Jason Hill here says, have you heard of Waterbomb Festival in Korea? Oh, have I, Jason? Oh, have I? If not, look it up. You'll thank me later. Oh, no, I'm well aware of it, Jason. Actually, they're actually bringing this out to California in September in Los Angeles. I believe it's the end of September, but yeah, man, I am definitely aware of it. Actually, give me 1 second. I got some footage here from one of my favorite groups now, actually, is a Kiss of Life. And so basically, those that don't know, Waterbomb Festival is basically a giant concert / water fight. It's like a K-pop thing. And I want to go so bad. When it comes to LA, I'm definitely going to try to go. But basically, they just shoot you with water. They get shot with water and they perform music. It's pretty dope. But yeah, Jason Hill, I am definitely aware, and I am definitely trying to get to the Los Angeles one. What about you, George? You interested in going to water?
Oh, absolutely. I knew what this was. I'm starting to get into K-pop and everything, but I mean, like, I don't know the full lingo to it, but this I knew about, like, straight off. Like,
this is your lingo? You understand this one?
Yes.
Okay, I get it. Yeah, but Jason, absolutely, and it's pretty cool. It sounds like a pretty fun event. I'm going to try to go to the one in LA, but we'll see. Girly nerd, Marianne. It's always good to see you, Marianne. Thank you for joining the chat. I'm going to miss this live, but I'll catch the replay. What is a dream IP you'd love to see integrated in the parks? Mine are always the same: The Rocketeer and Enchanted. Now, Enchanted isn't my favorite IP. I got to admit, I'm not a huge fan of that IP, but The Rocketeer, I like that a lot, actually. And will they do it? Probably not. Rocketeer is not a hot franchise right now, but man, that would make for an incredible experience. But what about you, George? What are you feeling? If you could do any IP that they haven't really done, I think also, honestly, the movie didn't do well, but I think something like Treasure Planet could be very interesting for the park experience. I think that's a kind of franchise that would translate very well in a theme park. Very imaginative, a lot you can do with maybe ride vehicles and what have you. I don't know. But what say you? And what do you think about the 2 examples she gives?
I do love The Rocketeer, which, here's the thing. I did enjoy the first Enchanted movie. I wasn't a fan of the second one, believe it or not. But the first one was really good. I don't really know how you can incorporate that as like an attraction type thing, but I think like Enchanted, like meet and greets would be kind of cool. I think Giselle is a very personable type of character that you can interact with, and I think that would be great. As far as with an IP for me, I'm going to kind of ride the rails here. You said Treasure Planet. Mine actually would be Atlantis. Okay, that'd be cool. I just think the scope of that film is, I don't know. I enjoyed that movie. I thought the animation was great. I really enjoyed it. I know it wasn't a big hit with the audiences, but I mean, I could definitely see like a kind of like a mini land even somewhere. You know what I would love, and it's not an IP that's not in the parks right now, but it would be a different angle to an existing IP, would be Who Framed Roger Rabbit. We have Roger Rabbit in Toontown, and it's in that Toonie world. But what about putting something maybe in Hollywoodland that's based in like 1930s Los Angeles, and it's more based on the movie Roger Rabbit, where you have this live action, but Roger and the tunes kind of exist in this 1930s Los Angeles environment? I think something like that would be really, really cool. And it's technically, yes, we have Roger Rabbit, but it would be a different take on that franchise. Because right now the ride that we have is based in this very toony environment. This would be more realistic with the tunes sprinkled into that world, into our world. I don't know. I think that could work. Great question, Marianne. We appreciate it.
And we're actually going to have Marianne on the show in a couple days, so make sure you check that out. GOOGAMP32, with cable being a dying industry and Peacock not doing so hot, do you think Disney is more positioned to survive the streaming age than Comcast is? Well, at least right now, I think they are. Yeah, Peacock, I don't know, man. More than likely, Comcast will probably merge that streaming service with something else. I've heard murmurs of that, and that's probably the route they're going to go. But as of right now, as a streaming service, does like anyone really even talk about Peacock? I don't know. It seems kind of irrelevant. It's all Netflix, Disney Plus, and Hulu, really, right? But what say you, George? What do you think, man?
Yeah, with Peacock, I mean, it seems like
watch your mouth, young man. Watch your mouth. Come on, dude. Watch your mouth.
I think honestly, with
it just sounds weird. Peacock coming out of your mouth. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I've said worse.
I
know. But with the streaming service of the bird who may not be named, but I feel like it's like one of those like those irritating like step siblings. That's what Peacock reminds me of. It's like it's there, but like nobody cares.
Right.
You know, it's just like if you can find something to watch, you know, it's cool. But yeah, like the big heavy hitters is Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think they kind of like even out in a sense. Like I feel like that Disney kind of has their way of like having their moment, but then Netflix, you know, has their moment. I think, you know.
Yeah, I think Comcast is a smart company. They'll figure it out. They'll be fine. Yeah, as of right now, though, Peacock is not the most exciting streaming service around. That's for sure. Mr. Matthew Murr, all the way from the UK. Thank you so much, Matthew, for joining us. I know the time differences over between California and the UK are crazy. So a lot of times when we do these, it's like a crazy hour over by you. And we appreciate you, Matthew. Thank you, brother. Matthew's asking, do you think Howard Ashman could have done a good job with The Lion King if he were in better health? Or do you think Disney would be more selective about which project to assign him to? And then he has a second part of this question. But this part right here, would Howard Ashman have done a good job with The Lion King? 1,000%, dude. Howard Ashman is a music genius. And what he did with the little, he really only influenced what? Little Mermaid. He did Little Mermaid. He did Beauty and the Beast. And then a little bit of Aladdin, right?
A little bit of Aladdin that he was in talks with Alan Menken just about certain songs, but he didn't really get to put his fingerprints on it. Yeah,
so Lion King, he would have hit a home run. I mean, it's Howard Ashman, and I have sung the praises of this man for so many years. This man isn't just a musical genius. This man, in my opinion, really saved the Walt Disney Company. Disney was not doing well in the lead up to The Little Mermaid, and that movie, it caught fire. The music was extremely popular. We got Beauty and the Beast. First animated film to ever be nominated for Best Picture. It didn't win. It lost to Silence of the Lambs, and I'm still salty about that. But it was still nominated, and a lot of that is because of Howard Ashman. His music and everything was absolutely incredible. He would have absolutely crushed Lion King. Now, not to say the Lion King soundtrack is still epic and still incredible. I mean, it's a masterpiece in and of itself, but Howard Ashman, of course, he would have nailed it. He would have done fantastic. I really miss Howard. I wish he was still around, dude. I get so bummed out when I think about it. But what about you, George? What do you think? Howard Ashman, Lion King?
He would have crushed it no matter. You could have gave him any kind of assignment, and Ashman would have just knocked it out of the ballpark. I will say, however, that I can't fully down what the soundtrack of what The Lion King is, because Elton John and Tim Rice did a phenomenal job.
That's what I'm saying. Exactly.
So, I mean, but if Ashman was on board with them, that I think would have even been possibly even stronger, if it could even be any stronger. But yeah, you put Howard Ashman with anything, you give him like a general synopsis of like a story, and the music would be the story in a sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And Matthew continues here. Which ones should be assigned to others like Phil Collins, Tim Rice, or Lin-Manuel Miranda? I don't really know what you're asking here, Matthew. What do you mean, which ones? Like, are you talking about past films or future stuff? I don't know. I mean, all three of these gentlemen are very talented. I I mean, they're capable. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I mean, they would do fine in any future projects. I'm not really sure what you're asking, Matthew. I do apologize. Do you understand what he's asking?
No, because I like which ones. Like, I mean, I'm not sure if he's talking about like something future or like genre wise.
I'm not really sure. Lin-Manuel, I will say this, is a very talented guy, and he does hit a lot of home runs. My issue with Lin-Manuel, and I've said this before, is he has a very Lin-Manuel style. And sometimes I feel like that is the focus more than making sure that he makes a good song for a Disney animated film, right? So I think he's capable of making a great song, great music for animation. The problem with Lin-Manuel, though, is that some of his songs feels very Lin-Manuel, like too Lin-Manuel. Like you're supposed to sort of make it about the movie and the story. And I feel his style kind of gets in the way a little bit. Like he does a lot of these like these rap things, like these like this kind of not beatbox, like freestyle stuff in the middle of these songs, you know, like You're Welcome, right? From Moana and stuff, where it's like it doesn't really fit the theme of the movie. You know what I'm saying? But that's a very Lin-Manuel thing to do. That's my criticism of like his work. I think he needs to kind of get away from the Lin-Manuel style and focus on trying to make a good Disney song instead of just making Lin-Manuel songs, if that makes sense, you know?
Right. Matthew clarified. He said, sorry, what I meant was, would Disney be skeptical about whether or not Ashman would only be comfortable with one specific genre?
I don't think Ashman. I mean, I never met the man. From what I know of him, I don't think he would shy away from any kind of challenge. I think he'd be up for it. This is my opinion. Again, I'm not speaking for him. I'm just from what I know of the guy.
Yeah, I think Lin-Manuel has more of a restricted limitation because of what you described with the music. You know, it's like it has to kind of. Not saying he's not talented. He's very talented. Yeah. But there's certain things that just fit into his style of music.
And I think he can see. That's the thing, though. I don't think he's incapable of creating something without that. I just think that nobody's really reined him in with that. But I think like if I was running the studio, I would probably have Lin-Manuel do the music for a lot of this stuff. I would just tell him, if we're doing a fairy tale or something, can we not have some rap in there? You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, and look, I'm a huge rap guy. Like rap, hip hop is my thing. That's my genre. Those are my genres.
That's your jam.
Those are my jams. You know, in K-pop, those are my genres. And K-pop has a ton of rap in it. But when you're dealing with Disney animation, though, it doesn't belong there. You know what I'm saying? I can like both of these things, but also acknowledge that they don't really belong in the same thing. I like ice cream. I like ketchup. Not together, though. You know what I'm saying? Another analogy, George. Another analogy.
There you go.
GOOOO32. Oh, and by the way, I do want to say hello to Hey Bricky. Bricky is in the chat. What's going on? Hey Bricky. We appreciate you, brother. Thank you for joining us. GOOOO32 says, while Disney won't be making an R-rated movie anytime soon, do you think they'll ever test the waters with a PG-13 animated movie? What say you, George? Do you think they'll ever do PG-13? Do they have the guts to do that, George? PG-13, dude.
I don't know. I don't know if they would do an animated film. That's interesting. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it. I mean, I just don't think that they would.
See, and this is the thing this is why the Japanese are amazing. Because
they don't care.
They'll do a PG-13. You know what I'm saying? You watch a lot of anime. A lot of that's very violent and gory and a lot of sexual, you know, I mean, the thing with the Japanese is they see animation as an art form for everybody, right? The problem with American audiences or American culture is they still view animation as for kids. And these big studios, especially, they're very, very hesitant to kind of go in that more adult route. Unfortunately, Michael Eisner, to his credit, was probably the only one that. Well, actually, no. Michael Eisner and Walt Disney, they did absolutely. Walt Disney had no problem killing Bambi's mother, you know, and traumatizing a whole generation. You know what I'm saying? Walt Disney, Dumbo. I mean, that incredibly dark movie. I mean, I can't even get through that movie. It's so sad. You know, Hunchback of Notre Dame in the Eisner era. You know. Unfortunately, I think even Lion King, we talked about it. That movie had a very dark moment with Mufasa's death.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to see that kind of stuff anytime soon again. I think the studios just won't go there with it. PG-13, probably not GOOOO. And it's sad. I'm open for it. I love animation, but I want to see animation utilized in more ways than just, like the G rated stuff. Like I want to see some PG-13 and kind of push the envelope a little bit. But
they did the borderline with like the Pirates movies,
right?
Even though it was live action, and then of course, upcoming, Deadpool and Wolverine with Marvel. But as far as animation, I don't know if Disney would risk that. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they would with like a Fox thing or something.
Yeah, like under another banner.
Yeah, but not Disney Animation and not Pixar. I just don't see it. Unfortunately, I don't want to see anything raunchy, but I would like to see them go in a darker direction.
Oh, I do.
But I mean, even if they kind of just went back to the Eisner era where they weren't afraid to do a Hunchback of Notre Dame or something like that.
Right. Yeah, that's the kind of thing that I think I don't really mind it. I think what it does is because with the animated movies, and a lot of times because Disney wants to utilize a lot of the IP in the parks, but because the parks are such heavily driven towards kids and families, they wouldn't really be able to kind of utilize that kind of IP in the theme park setting.
Yeah.
Now, if they just made it a movie as a movie, but that's never Disney's pipe dream. They always make these IP films for longer longevity.
That's a great point. That's a great point because you have that flywheel, right? Mm-hmm. And if you have an older animated thing, you sort of kneecap that flywheel a little bit because now you can't really make maybe attractions or anything based on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough. Like Deadpool and Wolverine. I know it's not animation, but you're limited with that franchise in regards to the theme parks and stuff because it's not for everybody, Mr. Seymour Duck. Come on, give it up for Mr. Seymour Duck. Let's see some duck emojis in the chat. Seymour is in the house. We got Disney. He says here, Disney hasn't partnered extensively with third parties regarding content creation, but notable collaborations include Bluey, which, oh my God, Bluey is not even popular. It's a franchise. I mean, it's a movement. Okay. Bluey is crazy. And Doctor Who, along with the rumored Kingdom Hearts. Which companies and IPs would you like to see Disney collaborate with? Perhaps adaptations of Fortnite or Fall Guys from Epic Games. And he concludes with maybe even bring back Who Framed Roger Rabbit for a sequel. Okay, a couple things here. In terms of content, I would love to see a Who Framed Roger Rabbit sequel or prequel. Okay, but here's the thing. We just talked about it, right, George? PG-13, that kind of stuff. If Disney doesn't have the balls to go all in on Roger Rabbit and do Roger Rabbit the right way and not be scared to do the edgier jokes and have it a little bit more adult leaning, don't touch it. Don't touch it. If you can't do it in the vein of the original movie, don't touch it. That's my opinion. But now here's the thing. You said, let me go back to your first question. Let me see. Okay. Which companies and IPs would you like to see Disney collaborate with? It would be an interesting idea, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this, George.
Mm-hmm.
What if Disney and Universal collaborated on a theme park?
I think the fandom couldn't handle it.
What if they did though, right? And it's never going to happen. Okay. But let's just think about this for a second. What if Disney and Universal built a theme park where they work together? And it's a collaboration of both of these companies and both of these IPs from both these companies.
That's funny. Like you would put a theme park like right in the center. You'd have Disney on one side, Universal on another, but then in the center you have that marriage of the two where everything is like intertwined. Yeah.
You can build it in Florida. You can build it. Maybe you can do it in Texas or something. I don't know where you'd even put it, but imagine a park that's Disney. It's a 50-50 collaboration from Universal and Disney. That would be super, super interesting. Will it ever happen? No way. But I think the possibilities there would be pretty interesting. But what say you, George? What kind of collabos would you like to see? Would you like to see a Disney Universal park, or is that kind of weird?
I mean, I think it's not far-fetched, but I mean, I kind of like the rivalry or per se of like what the fandom has between Disney and Universal, because enjoy pissing people off. But I'm just kidding. But I'm trying to think of like
you would still get that rivalry, by the way, because they'll be like, "Oh, the Universal Land in this park is better than the Disneyland."
These attractions are much better than these ones over here.
Yeah, you know? Don't worry.
I'm trying to I'm trying to think of another kind of collaboration where, well, okay, sort of kind of what you were saying about Disney and Universal, but maybe not necessarily under the Universal banner. I would just like Disney to collaborate something with Steven Spielberg.
Oh, me too, man. Me too.
Just Steven Spielberg. Bring him on with any kind of project that Disney's doing and have him just do his thing.
Go nuts. Yeah. Spielberg does not miss, man. He does not miss. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a bad Spielberg movie. At least I personally haven't. I would love to have him get involved with some more Disney stuff. That would be amazing. I mean, even animation. I mean, get him involved in animation. That would be really cool, you know? Cassandra Chamberlain here says, any tips for attending the D23 Expo? George, you're the D23 guy. What do you say, man? What tips can you give Cassandra here for attending the expo? Like a first timer, you know?
Run.
No, run for your life. Like Kendrick Lamar, run for your life. Go ahead.
Okay, so for a first timer going to the D23 Expo, I always say this to everybody that ever attends is never assume, just like when you go to a Disney park, you're never going to get through everything. So whatever Disney puts on the roster for these events, if there are multiple presentations and panels that you want to see, some of them may overlap with the time. You kind of have to pick and choose what you want to do. Now, I do know with this upcoming D23 event, they've changed a lot of things. So they're going to have the bigger presentations, such as the parks panel, the studios, and the legend ceremony at the Honda Center, which you have to buy in a specific ticket to have a reserved seat for that. Beforehand, they used to have them already in the Anaheim Convention Center, which you would have to get up hella early and basically park your ass down in the basement for like multiple hours just to see if you could even get a seat into the D23 arena for these presentations. But they're still going to have like the smaller panels and the showroom floor. So I think it just depends on what you want to do and see. If you're a shopping type of person, you know, make that your main priority. If you're a panels presentation kind of person, focus on that. So you basically kind of have to create your own customized plan based off what you want to do most.
Yeah,
because you can't fit it in at all.
Yeah, exactly. And Cassandra, if you have Twitter or X, as they call it now, you can message his Disney George on Twitter. Yep. Disney George, just shoot him a DM if you have any questions. Like you're seriously wanting to go or for a future visit, he can answer. I mean, you've been like every one of them, right?
Basically. Yeah, so. Basically. And Cassandra, if you're still in the chat, if you could put, are you going to this year's D23? And is this your first one?
Yeah. And we can't say right now, but we have an update on that too.
Yes.
Oh shit. Cassandra here continues with best hotel recommendations for right outside the Anaheim Convention Center. Let's go, George. Actually, I really want to talk to you about this. Go ahead, though.
Absolutely. So if you're looking for something right outside of the Anaheim Convention Center, the best one that I could recommend, there are other hotels around which are considered the Disney Good Neighbor hotels.
Like the Motel 6?
Yes,
that
definitely. But speaking just for the Anaheim Convention Center, I think the best one to kind of stay in the action where you can kind of be adjacent to is the Clarion. The Clarion is literally right next door to the Anaheim Convention Center. You basically leave out the front entrance of the hotel and you're right there. I think, honestly, so if you want to have convenience at its finest, the Clarion Hotel is perfect for the Anaheim Convention Center. However, I've stayed at multiple Good Neighbor hotels. I've stayed at the the Queen's Inn, the Carriage Inn, Portofino. Even though those hotels are a little bit of a walk to the Anaheim Convention Center, if you start your day,
sorry,
sorry,
that was my phone. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No, you're good. I was going to say you added an extra thing to the roadcaster that I missed. But I think if you start your day off kind of early, it's not that far of a walk. But just be prepared. There's going to be a lot of people attending the D23, whether you're just going to the Anaheim Convention Center, whether you're also doing the Honda Center. So definitely bring a good, comfortable pair of shoes and pack your patience.
pack your patience. Now, I mentioned Motel 6. The Anaheim Main Gate is what they call that one.
Correct.
We stayed there the last time you were down here. And actually, I was impressed by that. Motel 6 doesn't have the best reputation, but that was actually really nice. The
I really liked it. I really liked it. And honestly, the walk from the Anaheim Main Gate to Disneyland is, what was it, like a 10-minute walk?
Yeah,
10,
it was
15
easy.
minutes.
It was easy. Absolutely. That was a good one. Now, the Queen's Inn, that was interesting. We stayed there back in April. And that one was a little
That
iffy.
one was a little bit, that one. Here's the thing. I've had hit or misses with the Queen's Inn, but there were some issues the last time we stayed there where I'm thinking, like, I would stay there again, but only if I really had to.
Yeah. It's not bad, but it's like the TV, we couldn't get the TV working, the guy had to come through like 3 times to fix the TV. It was just a lot of issues here and there. Internet was real iffy at that one. So kind of crazy. Kiki and Luca is in the house. Kiki and Luca is asking, in addition to YouTube memberships, which, by the way, the YouTube memberships should be up and running tonight. So they should be up tonight, everybody, the YouTube membership. So I'll keep you all updated on that. But in addition to the YouTube memberships, are you planning on adding an OnlyFans membership? Yeah, that it's going to be the McNasty tier. You know what I'm saying? And that's going to be George's domain. You know what I'm saying? Show the chest hair.
Yes. Watch me deconstruct a Big Mac.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, exactly. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Kiki and Luca. And we have Maybe in the house. And when Maybe's in the house, we got to do the Maybe drop. Let's go.
I'm that girl that drives you crazy, but you're killing me alone. Got you thinking maybe alone. Got you thinking maybe alone. Got you thinking maybe.
Maybe is in the house. Maybe says, have you been to any yacht parties recently to celebrate the success of Inside Out 2 with Iger? I know you all are close. Oh, maybe. We got so much special access. We didn't even know what to do with it. We're going to Jeffrey's in Malibu, for brunches, like we are like this with Bob, like this, you know what I'm saying? Give us a call. We'll get you into some of these yacht parties and we'll have a good time.
Yeah. Up at Palm Springs, like, hitting the golf courses, sipping on some Arnold Palmers. That's how we do it.
You know what I'm saying, dude? Pinkies out, the whole thing. It's great. Fantastic. And actually after this, we're gonna head out. Bob and actually Dana Walden. We're going to the steakhouse, they're gonna order for us, so we have our food when we get there. But yeah, Bob and Dana, it's gonna be fantastic. Mr. Hey Bricky is in the house. Everybody, make sure you check out Hey Bricky. He is a phenomenal content creator. We react to a lot of his stuff here on the channel because he does amazing work, really, really interesting kind of speculation videos and breakdowns. Make sure you check out Mr. Hey Bricky. Each Galaxy's Edge was originally going to be an original spaceport to each resort. Iger saw the price of one and said, let's go, BOGO. Yeah, unfortunately, Bricky. And it's like, when it comes to this stuff, Disney gets it's cheaper to buy this stuff when they're building 2 exact like clones. It's cheaper to do it that way, and that's why they usually opt for that. Because when you do different, you have to do different R&D, research and development and what have you. So yeah, that would have been a really, really cool concept. I would absolutely love that. Absolutely love that. We got Mr. T.S. Wade in the house. Why can't Bob Iger fire Kathleen Kennedy since she's the problem for Star Wars? I have no idea, T.S. Wade. I mean, he didn't fire her the first time. Bob Chapek didn't fire her when he was in there for like a year, right? Bob Iger came back. He didn't fire her.
This woman has 9 lives.
I'm telling you, I don't know what it is. I mean, look, I think it's time for Lucasfilm to get some fresh eyes. I do. In my opinion, I absolutely do. I'm not a Kathleen Kennedy like hater. Like, I'm not like, you know, some of these like YouTube channels that like they're like obsessed with her leaving. I'm not like that, but like I do think it's time for like her to leave. I do think we need some fresh leadership there. So we'll see. I really don't know what the deal is with this, but remember too, T.S. Wade, you know who actually put her there was George Lucas, which is interesting. That's who she got this job because of George, well, not this George, but George Lucas. Yes. So, which is fascinating. A lot of people don't really remember that or don't realize that, but that is interesting. So people that like want, you know, George Lucas to come back to save Star Wars. Well,
not this George, the other George that doesn't change expression.
Yeah, exactly. That other George, right? But people always want George Lucas to come back to save Star Wars. You think you're going to get rid of Kathleen Kennedy if George Lucas comes back? Yeah. He put her there. Like, come on. But what say you, George? Why hasn't he fired Kathleen Kennedy?
I don't know what she has on them that literally they can't like get rid of her in that sense. I don't know. Like, I don't know if there's something like in her clause that when she started, it's like she has kind of like an immunity kind of thing. Like no matter what goes down, I don't know, but it's obviously I don't understand with all the changes that are going on through the company, why that wasn't one of them.
I don't know either. Yeah, I really don't know what it is, you know? And I mean, it's crazy, but we'll see. I think, look, she's getting older. I mean, she's going to be leaving, I would assume, fairly soon. Maybe when Bob Iger leaves is when she'll leave. Who knows? But I think it's time to kind of move on from the Kennedy era and get some fresh eyes in there. I personally like Jon Favreau. I would like to have him run it, but you know, it's not really up to me. Oh, maybe it is up to me. You know, we're doing the yacht parties.
You never know. Throw it to him.
You know what I'm saying, man? Let's go. While we're dancing, you know, to Jay-Z songs on the yacht, I can bring it up, you know. Coaster Crash here says, do you guys think we could get a Princess and the Frog ride built from the ground up that retells the movie's story? Probably not. I mean, at least not here stateside. I mean, we already have Tiana's now. They're not going to do another one. You might get one like in Tokyo. That's possible. Or like, you know, in one of the international parks. But what do you think, George? Do you think there's any chance domestic?
I don't think so. I think honestly with them, you know, making Tiana's Bayou Adventure, it kind of solidifies the notion that they're moving forward with the events after the movie, and they're not going to backpedal, I don't think.
Yeah. I would agree with you. Absolutely. Starship 824. It's always good to see you, Starship. Thank you for joining us. Do you think Disney will ever do a Halloween Horror Nights type of event, say at Hollywood Studios? So it's in the more adult park. You know, I wouldn't be opposed to that. You know, you can do it in Hollywood Studios. You can do it out here in California, maybe DCA. The only problem with DCA, though, is Oogie Boogie Bash is like so insanely popular. It would probably conflict with that. But I don't know. If you have see, that's the thing. That's the beauty of having these secondary gates, you know, like Hollywood Studios and DCA and places like that. I think Disney should experiment more with some of this stuff. You know, obviously you're not going to put that in like the, you know, Magic Kingdom or anything, but why not Hollywood Studios? That'd be a cool idea. I don't know. I like to see Disney's take on that. What do you think, George?
I think so. And especially with Hollywood Studios, you can kind of extend out of just the Disney brand. You know, you can incorporate a lot of the Fox IP. You could do stuff maybe like with Alien, Planet of the Apes. So you can kind of like flesh out sort of stuff that's kind of like creepy, but do it in a Disney kind of fashion.
Yeah, you could even have like zombie Mary Poppins, you know?
Yeah.
Kind of crazy, like twisted, like, you know, I don't know. There's potential there. There's absolutely potential there, but will they do it? Probably not, but it'd be kind of interesting to kind of see it, you know? California Dreamin' is in the house. Hey, California Dreamin', we do apologize. Slimer is not here today. It's just me and the Italiano, but we appreciate you joining us. California here says, need to hear what you guys think of the new bride scene in Haunted Mansion and the bats that will replace the hanging corpse. More rumors that flying bats will replace that scene. That's interesting. The new bride scene, what is he referring to? I don't know if I caught that.
As far as I know, I don't know too many of the details. I just know that they were replacing the bride. I don't know. California Dreamin', did they say specifics of what it is?
Yeah, if you can comment that, if you're still in the chat, California Dreamin', let us know what that is exactly. We'd like to.
As far as the bats go, here's the thing: I'm not opposed to it as long as the execution is done well. If they can give us something that's like over the top, like kind of crazy with like the technology, as if it really seems like that bats are flying above you and
That'd
stuff
be cool.
like that, that'd be really cool.
Yeah, I can see that working. We were talking about that, in the video that we did with Theme Park Conductor about, if they do replace the hanging scene, you have to replace it with something really cool. Having a bunch of bats fly up there, I think would make sense. And if they, like you said, George, if they do it right.
So, New Bride is singing in a window and no more hatchet, which I had mentioned that before. They want to get rid of the notion of it being like a murder of chopping off her husband's heads. But I mean, as long as it's this head, if she pulls it like a Lorena Bobbitt, like then that's
some cool. That's cold hearted. That is cold hearted. Now it's funny because California Dreamin' sort of answered Starship's question in a way, right? Because like they're, according to the rumor at least, Disney is trying to get rid of the hanging corpse. They're getting rid of the hatchet, things like that. Mm-hmm. If they're doing all this, if it's true, we don't know if it's true. It's a rumor right now, but if it's true, they're certainly not going to go in the Halloween Horror Nights direction.
Yeah.
But what I want to know is I've been hearing a lot of complaints about a lot of stuff in Haunted Mansion. Like petitions going around and all this stuff, right? But down the street, Universal can do just about anything they want with the gore, and that's fine. And Knott's Berry Farm has a whole show called The Hanging. Yeah. Well, I don't understand. Like, why is it always Disney that gets all the petitions?
But here's the thing, though. I haven't really heard. I mean, even though they're saying there's petitions out there, I haven't heard not one complain about it. People are actually anticipating on the mansion to come back. So I don't know what the whole dilly-dally of it is.
I'm not sure either. I mean, I know that they were looking at it. I mean, a Disney spokesperson did confirm that, and that was from a few years ago, I think like 2021. But things have changed, I think, in the past few years. So I don't know if these kind of changes are still necessarily going to happen. Because remember, Bob Iger also came out and said we're trying to moderate the company. We're not trying to get too into the culture war thing and all that stuff. So it's possible that this was something they may be thinking about, but maybe they won't ultimately follow up with it. It'll just stay the same. We'll see. We'll absolutely see. Let me see. Our next question comes from the one, the only Mr. Seymour Duck. Are you planning to get Epic Mickey rebrushed? Do you think they should expand this franchise, series, or movie, or park attraction? Okay, so no, I'm not planning on getting it. Seymour, to be quite honest, I don't really game anymore. I was a gamer when I was a young OG. I was a gamer. I was on the Nintendo, the Super Nintendo. I had a Sega Genesis. I'm old. Okay, I had all the old school stuff. I even had like Coleco. I mean, nobody probably in the chat even knows what Coleco is. Tight. Yeah, exactly. I had a Coleco. I think it was Coleco actually, or was it Atari with the cool Smurfs game? I don't know. Back in the day, but I haven't really gamed in years and years and years. So I'm not going to get Epic Mickey, but I would like to see them kind of take that concept and make a series or a movie or even a park attraction. I think it's a really interesting storyline and concept to kind of play with. A dark ride actually at the parks might really be kind of cool. Maybe in like DCA Hollywoodland or something. But what say you, Mr. Italiano? What do you think? Epic Mickey, you going to get it? Yeah, I know you're not much of a gamer, but...
Yeah, I've actually played this game when it first came out, when it was on the Nintendo Wii. I thought it was a decent game. But yeah, as of right now, I'm not really a huge... gamer type person. I think it'll be kind of cool to see. I enjoy actually watching people play video games, to be honest with you. Now, when it comes for Kingdom Hearts, I am a huge Kingdom Hearts fan. I'm still anticipating on hearing something more with Kingdom Hearts 4. But I followed that storyline since the very beginning, back in 2002, when the game first came out. So anything of Kingdom Hearts, I will definitely be checking out. I'm not a gamer, but I will be a slight gamer for Kingdom Hearts.
Slight gamer. You're gonna dabble. You'll be gamer curious, as they say, right?
I'll be gamer light.
There you go. And our friend Late Night with Cap is in the house. What's up, Late Night? Young OG. What is going on, Late Night? And Jesse Adventure here says, since we have Disneyland in California and Walt Disney World in Florida, let's say they build a Disneyland park in Texas. What do you think they would call it? Oh man, the Lone Star Kingdom. I have no idea, but here's the thing: I wouldn't be opposed to a Texas park necessarily.
Y'all Disney.
There you go. Giddy up. Yeah. I wouldn't be opposed to a Texas park. I mean, I think that you could sustain that. It'd be kind of interesting. We'll see. I don't think they'll. Well, what do you think? You think they'll ever do it, George? You think they'll ever? Well, because Universal is going into Texas, but Universal isn't really like committed though to Texas. It's a kiddie park.
Yeah, I kind of feel that, again, just like the notion of not adding a fifth gate to Walt Disney World, I feel like by doing another whole theme park, you're starting all the way over in another whole state, and you have to kind of rebrand that notion of, getting it hyped to get people to go to Texas or wherever else they would do it. Again, I think Disney should really just focus on what they have in the domestic parks as it stands.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Mr. Seymour Duck here says, please no kids Texas park like Universal. And Late Night here says, Texas doesn't want Disney. This is interesting, right? Okay, so in terms of Seymour's comment, right? I've said this before, and I got a lot of pushback for it. I think with the kids park, I think what Universal should have done in Texas is build more of like a standard theme park and incorporate some of the kid elements in a standard theme park. Make a really well-balanced park in Texas. I think that would have worked really, really well. I'm not a big fan of this kids park. It feels a little cheap to me. I got to be honest. And I'm looking at some of the stuff coming out of Universal Florida with this DreamWorks land. And it's like, I feel like the DreamWorks land is sort of a taste of what we're going to get with this kid park in Texas. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of it, but we'll see. Like, I have an open mind. You never know. It might be pretty cool when it's open, but yeah, I'm not a huge fan of it. Late Night here says, thoughts on Knott's and Six Flags merger. How do you think it will change the theme parks in California? This is interesting. So Cedar Fair and Six Flags ended up merging. Here's the issue. Six Flags is a mess, right now. It really is. The management there, the CEO is an idiot, okay? But like the thing too is Cedar Fair has sort of been on the decline. Like their operations haven't been great, and they've been doing some cutbacks. I was at Knott's actually with Theme Park Casual in October, and he was kind of telling me they've kind of cut back, with some of the menu options and things like that. So I got to be honest, Late Night, I'm kind of worried about it a little. I mean, I don't know, man. Six Flags doesn't have a great track record, and Cedar Fair's track record was kind of dipping before this merger. So we'll see. We'll keep an eye on it. Knott's is a really kind of cool regional park. It is very charming. They do have a lot of like kind of nuggets of great theming in there, like with the ghost town and stuff like that. And I just hope they don't really like mess with it too much. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see. We'll keep an eye on it. But what say you, George? What do you think? You think it's going to be okay, or you think we're going to see a quality dip here?
I will say I am glad that they're attempting to try to fix this matter, because as you said, Six Flags is in a heap of trouble right now. Cedar Fair is, I believe, in the middle ground, not the high ground, but not the low ground, in the middle ground.
The middle ground, okay.
But I do hope that they can kind of come up with a kind of an agreement where it could help both parties out. I just don't know at the moment if them merging is really going to help either side, because it can kind of go either way. Cedar Fair could end up boosting Six Flags, or Six Flags might pull Cedar Fair down to their level.
Yeah, and from what I understand, at least the last I heard, the board makeup is like 50-50, I believe, or something like that. So it'd be kind of if like 50% Six Flags people and 50% Cedar Fair. The other thing too is both of these companies have different IP rights. So I know Cedar Fair has the rights to like the Peanuts, you know, like Snoopy and Charlie Brown. Six Flags, I believe, has like the DC and the Looney Tunes. I wonder if we're going to see some of those characters cross over. So are we going to see Bugs Bunny at Knott's Berry Farm now? Are we going to see Superman or something like that? I mean, it kind of opens the door for stuff like that, right?
That is true.
Yeah.
Like I wonder like where the barrier crossing, you know, ends, so to speak.
Yeah. Now to answer your question, Late Night, no, it was not only in California. These two companies are merging. This is a nationwide thing. I think they even have a park or in Mexico. I think it's one park, maybe two. I don't really remember. But no, the companies are merging. So this is across the board nationwide. So it'll be very interesting. Mr. C. Moore Duck, thoughts on Paramount's board approving the merger with Skydance? You know, my first thought about this whole thing, Seymour, is what this does for animation. Because you remember, Disney fired Lasseter, right? And Lasseter went over to Skydance. Now Skydance is part of Paramount. This is a bigger company now. And so it kind of gives Lasseter a bigger, bigger sandbox to play in, so to speak. He's part of a major studio. Skydance was kind of a little on the smaller side. I mean, compared to like a Paramount or a Disney, but now I don't know. I'm very curious how this affects animation. What about you, George? Where do you stand with this, brother?
Here's the thing. Like with Skydance, for me, like I haven't seen not like really something to come out of that.
Well, Luck came out, right? And then that was like, I feel like that was like no one really cared. Am I tripping, or like I feel?
No, because I'm one of those people. It's like, not saying it was it could have been a bad movie. I just feel like Skydance really isn't a relevant animation studio. That, not saying they don't have talent there, but I just feel like that they're not following how Pixar steps were, when Pixar connected with Disney. Here's the thing, maybe that would help. Maybe with the merger with Paramount, maybe it'll boost Skydance up just like how Pixar did with Disney.
It's possible. It's absolutely possible. I think that we're gonna have to see, because Luck, I heard, was a cute movie, but it didn't really move the needle culturally or anything like that. It wasn't a massive hit, right? The next movie I think is Spellbound, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so. Yes, Spellbound.
Yeah. So Lasseter really needs to start churning out some big hits here soon. You know what I'm saying? Because if he has another like Luck size hit, that's kind of I don't know.
Now, what's actually quite interesting about that, with John Lasseter being over at Skydance, you have to think for many years he's been using the Pixar formula of how it takes a great story, and when you watch a Pixar film, you could say, okay, that's definitely a movie coming from Pixar.
Right.
With now moving over to Skydance, it almost makes me feel like if he had to come up with a new kind of formula to not kind of replicate of what they're doing over at Pixar, because that could potentially become I don't want to say like a lawsuit, because technically you can't really sue somebody for that, but at the same time, there could be a lot of tension between studios.
I mean, it could be, but I think the formula is more just a general like story kind of approach. I mean, I can see what you're saying though, but I don't know. I don't know if he abandoned it or not. I'm not really sure, but that's interesting. It's interesting. We got Slimer in the chat though. Mr. Slimer, contributor here on the channel. Our good friend Slimer here says the Incredibles franchise has a combined box office of 1.8 billion with a B, but very little park presence. Will Disney view Inside Out 2 differently for park presence, and if so, why? This is interesting. Because remember in the Michael Eisner era, the Renaissance era basically saved the company and animation, right? The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Lion King. And we didn't get anything for those movies. We never got a Lion King dark ride. We never got a Little Mermaid dark ride. We never got an Aladdin thing. Like, well, we did. We got the with the carpet spinners or some shit over there. Yeah, that doesn't count. Yeah. We'll forget about that. but really, there hasn't been a big presence even with those massive movies, and those movies were a cultural reset in its day, right? So Slimer makes a great point. Like, do you think they'll do Inside Out 2 stuff, for the parks? I hope so. I really do. I mean, I think the franchise deserves more than the emotional whirlwind over there at Pixar Pier. I would love to see them kind of take this franchise and put it into Epcot. I know my Epcot fanboys are gonna kill me for this, but I think that you kind of you satisfy Burbank with the IP because that's where the money and the merch is. But you can also approach it in a kind of an edutainment kind of way, and it would work with Epcot very well. I hope they go that route, Slimer, with Inside Out 2. I really, really do. Will they do it? It's possible. This movie is crushing. I mean, it's moving. It is moving. What do you think, George? You think more Inside Out 2? Is it coming?
Inside Out. Inside Out is definitely going to be coming. I know that we were having in the DMs that is Inside Out 3 a possibility? I could definitely see it happening. If you look at Moana, that was just going to be a simple Disney Plus series, and the series literally became a theatrical animated feature film that's going to be released in November. So I could definitely on the track of how many milestones and that this film is producing, I could definitely see more Inside Out through the studios and also in the parks. I definitely feel that Epcot is going to be getting something of Inside Out. Yeah. I think honestly, it's either going to be between the Imagination Pavilion or that old abandoned Wonders of Life Pavilion, which I still don't know why that thing has been stagnant all these years. I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't either. But you don't think this is giving Disney anxiety? No, okay.
I don't know about that, but it's definitely making Universal envious.
Oh, okay. There we go. Paul Adler here. Paul, thank you so much for joining us. Paul here says, just want to say thank you guys for doing this. Your videos get a lot of people through a lot of hard times, and no one is producing content like you. Wow, Paul, that was really nice of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Wow.
That was really, really nice of you. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Now, I do want to say too, Paul, that we are actually having an OG55 meetup. I don't know where you're at, but out here in California at Downtown Disney, August 17th, right at 4 p.m. We're having the first ever OG55 meetup. If you're in the area and you're available that day and time, come on over and say hi to us. We'll be there. So thank you so much, Paul. We do appreciate it. Really nice of you to say that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. We greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Paul. Late night. Who is taller, OG or Italiano?
Well, so here's the thing. So OG has me about, I'd say 3 or 4 inches taller. If you include his hair, it's about 8 inches.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm right there, 5'11", 6 foot, right there, but the hair definitely pushes me over the 6 foot mark. Absolutely. But you know what, late night, you know what they say? The taller the hair, the closer to Walt, right? Right. But no, I am taller than the Italiano. Yeah. But yeah. But George on his back is taller. I'm just kidding. That's a dirty joke.
It matches. It matches up when you do the height the height measurements to OG's hair.
Right, exactly. Oh man. GOOOO32 here says, speaking of Inside Out, do you think Inside Out could revive Cranium Command the same way Finding Nemo revived Submarine Voyage? It's possible. I mean, I would love to see stuff like that, GOOOO. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about when we're saying about incorporating Inside Out into Epcot. Mm-hmm. If they're hell bent on the IP, then do that. Then do Inside Out, because that one actually works in Epcot. What say you, George? You're more of a Floridian.
Yeah, I think that would be able to rejuvenize the Wonders of Life Pavilion. It would definitely fit in perfectly, kind of like with the story base of what that pavilion was. Cranium Command, yeah, I mean, you can definitely ignite that into a whole Inside Out kind of franchise. And what's actually interesting with that is even if they don't do any more as far as like theatrical releases or feature films of Inside Out, they could still create original emotions for the parks. I mean, there's so many emotions that the Imagineers can work with over at Pixar to create new characters just for an attraction.
I'm telling you, this franchise has so much potential. We were talking about it where you could actually do, I wouldn't want a full-length movie, but you can do like a Pixar short for like Disney Plus of like Andy or some other Pixar character and have you go inside their head and have the emotions of that other Pixar franchise. So Andy's emotions and thoughts and stuff, right? I think that would be kind of a cool crossover for like a short.
Okay. Now, hear me out with this because I'm going to kind of like blow everybody's minds here. Okay. So they're planning on a Toy Story 5. We all have the notion that Andy's going to be grown up.
Right.
And he's going to be possibly married, has a child. That's where the toys come back in to kind of show his son or daughter the toys that he grew up when he was a child.
Right.
Well, what if Toy Story 5 was set years after the Inside Out films?
Okay.
And Riley is Andy's wife.
Oh, that's weird. Oh, I see what you're saying. So she grows up to be Andy's wife.
Correct.
Oh, that's interesting. I'm telling you, man, you could do a whole crossover thing, you know? We got Kev in the house, Mr. Tech Bear. Hello, cuties. What's up, cutie? We love you, Tech Bear. We love you, baby. Let's see here. We got maybe saying, are you guys dressing up for Oogie Boogie? You know what? We are going to Oogie Boogie this year. And you know what? Last year we didn't. And we got a lot of shit from Cruella DeVille on that.
We did. Oh man, she ripped us a new one, man. She like looked us up and down. And she's like, that's what you came to the party? Like, it was like, come on, darling.
Come on. Yeah, no, we should dress up. We
really should. Yeah, we really should.
Yeah.
In the chat, if you have any ideas, throw them out there. You know?
Yeah, I'll come as you and you come as me, dude.
There you go.
Absolutely. Late night with Cap, JT Gun. When does Tiana's open in Disneyland? And are you going on day one? Okay, so Tiana's is like, we're looking at like late 2024 out here in California. Yeah. So like probably October, November-ish. Yeah. Day one, probably not, Cap. I'm not really a day one kind of guy. I kind of like just, you know, whenever I get there.
and that's the difference, like between OG and I. Like, we are very similar, but we are very different. Now, me, if I would probably go on day one if I had the opportunity, because I just love having the opportunity of just pushing people out of the way so I can get to the front of the line.
See, George is an attention whore. He wants to get on social media and brag he was there on day one, right, George?
Yes. Oh, shit.
Oh man, I tell you. Well, everybody, really fun live show today. I want to thank everybody. Oh, we got one more.
Really quick, there is one more. I actually lost it in the placement. It was from Starship. It was
okay,
but it was. Let's see if I can find it.
What was the topic generally?
It was okay. So if here it is. Okay, it was right above Cassandra saying thanks for the tips. It was if Disney live streams the parks panel, will you do a watch along? So
we actually have news on that. We have news on that. Go ahead, George.
Yeah. So we have some news. We can't necessarily say what it is as of yet because we didn't get the green light on it yet. But it's a possibility, but stay tuned. I think the way that it's looking like, I'll say, just stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned. But I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Jesse Adventure, Late Night with Cap. Actually, Late Night with Cap has a great YouTube channel. Make sure you go over there and check him out. Florentine, the one and only Maybe. We love Maybe in the house. Kev, Tech Bear, Starship, Googamp, Fiji, Slimer, of course, Mr. Seymour Duck, just everybody who joined us today. California Dreamin'. We really do appreciate everybody here. Matthew Murr, thank you so much. George, any final thoughts before we skedaddle?
I just want to thank everyone, as OG has done, in the chat for tuning in. We really greatly appreciate you taking the time. As OG has always said, there's so many other channels, so many other lives that you could tune into, and you come over to the channel and hang out with us. So we definitely appreciate all of you. And also, as OG had mentioned at the very beginning of this live, the memberships will be starting online pretty soon. I think you said tonight.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it tonight.
Okay,
I'm doing it tonight.
So it's so if when you join, obviously it's going to take a little bit of time that we're going to get a lot of the content, especially with me going to the parks. I actually today just got some equipment that is coming that I could use for the in-park content for the membership. But in the meantime, until I get to the parks and everything, there's going to be a lot of stuff going to be added on to the memberships. As I said, we're going to do outtakes and bloopers and specialty videos that showcase about us, maybe something that's a little bit more on the spicy side. I mean, you think that we're spicy now? That become a member, you'll see.
George has all kinds of stories, man. He has everybody. When we have like a guest on and we talk just before the show, George cracks everybody up. I'm telling you, okay, you'll know, you'll see.
You will get it, and so and definitely become a member. If we get enough people in there, then we could start having even members only lives where we could discuss even more in-depth topics, not just to what we do on a regular live. So
and maybe here says, oh shit, top secret news, very top secret, very top secret, but we will be announcing very, very soon. Very, very soon. So I want to thank everybody for joining us today on this live stream on this beautiful Sunday afternoon, or Sunday night for George over there, 3 hours ahead. You got to get over here on the West Coast, man. You know what I'm saying?
I know it is. Like, even though I'm like 3 hours ahead of you, I'm technically, you could still call it 5:30 because I have been on West Coast time. Like, I don't think I could ever go back.
Yeah. George is so West Coast. He has this on repeat.
That fuck 'em up. I'ma do my.
All right.
That's me. And then the owl is the East Coast.
Yeah, exactly. That's the snow in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
So but Italiana, if you can let everybody home know where they can find you on social media, sir.
Absolutely. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George.
Sorry. I'm kidding. Go ahead.
You're good. You can find me on X, formerly known as... God, I'm almost discombobulated. Wait, let me try that again. You can find me on social media on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You can also find me on Instagram under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you can find me right here on my home base at Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner, with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info.
There we go. And George, you know what happens when you say sticky, right?
Yeah.
There we go. Hey, our friend Maybe knows all about that drop. She knows all about that drop. Sticky. We love it. Great song, by the way. But thank you all so much for watching this episode of OG55. Thank you all so much for watching this episode. We will be doing another live stream very, very soon, as we always do. Enjoy the rest of your week and have a great week. And until the next time.
세상은 누구에게나 공평하게 추악해.